All right. Hello for anyone who is actually here. I apologize that we are just getting on here. We had troubles getting Wi-Fi going when we got home. It's see if I can get this up here. We still not loading on my end just yet. Oh, there's Janet. So it is live. Our Wi-Fi would not work. It's a good thing I was saying that I'm not currently set up for you guys to see my face because we just got in from sledding, and then when we got in the door, the Wi-Fi would not work and the iPad would not let me open Facebook so that I could follow along with your guys' comments and questions. It's still acting kind of funny, so I'll give the iPad just a second. Oh, I think it's here now. And this should probably need to turn the volume way down though, because you were listening to music here, right?
I didn't use this.
Still doesn't want to play on my end, so I will follow along on my phone instead, and hopefully that will work. So hello everyone who is here. Thank you guys for tuning in, even though it is not 3:30. We will get right into making this card, I think. So I will show you guys the dies again. I know you've seen them already, but this one focuses mostly on the dies and just the greeting stamp. The other cards I've showed you guys have focused on the stamp set. So I wanted to show you guys some uses with the dies. And the extra reason for that was in case some of you have only the dies, I wanted to give you another idea. I also need to make this card, a second one of it, to send to a friend. And so I figured this may as well be the card that I go live with this weekend. And then I've got it ready to send to her. We are just looking for my stamp set. But these are the dies that come with the set. So what I've used here is these two layering dies. They are the two that make these leaves. So I did have to run them through 3 times in order to get the 3 different leaves. And then in order to get this flower, this magnet sheet is very strong, as you can see. I have cut the solid flower and the detailed flower. So that is, I'll just put these out here. I'll lay these out while we give everyone else a minute to hop on. And then these ones here are this here. I've used the gold foil for this one here. This is this black, the little center here. And then I didn't use these ones. But I do have 3 sets of the leaves. And then this little center here is actually the detailed flower cut again. And you guys will see me alter that one as well. How is everybody doing today? Did anybody get outside and enjoy the weather? It's beautiful. We went out yesterday and today. We have not gone out much all winter, but this weekend we've had company and the weather has been beautiful, so we've made use of it. All right, so I'm going to make this with blending as well. So I've got some blending. These 2 colors are the same for the detailed layer and then the solid layer underneath. So in order to give some differentiation between the 2 layers, I just added some blending to the solid layer, and then I'm going to do the same thing to these leaves. So the supplies that I have ink wise is crushed curry, old olive, those are for blending, and then I have Versamark and gold powder for the greeting, and that is all the inks that I've used on this project. So I'll just move these over. I will do a recap of any upcoming events at the end. I won't make you guys wait any longer to get into the project. So I'll get right into this for you. And then we can chat about any of that other stuff at the end in case anyone is interested in hearing any reminders about upcoming events. I'll just get these out of the way. I said I would show you guys the stamp set. So this is the stamp set again, and that's the greeting. So this is all I've used in this one. You could also, if you didn't want to do the outer layer, the detailed layer of the leaf, you could just stamp that leaf on there as well, and that would save you a little bit of work. I apologize, there's Ruby barking out there. All right. So first what I need to do is just pop out all of these. What you could do as well, which I didn't do, but you could put your cardstock for these detailed layers onto adhesive sheets first and then die cut them. That way you would have this layer already sticky so that you don't have to glue it down. Again, I did not do that, so I'll just have to strategically place some little dots of Tombow onto my detailed layers, but that's okay. All right, so I popped all those out, and then I don't necessarily need to do that to the early espresso layer because I'm going to just cut around the center. And then I'll pop all these out, and then that way we are, they just pop right out and they would actually be sticky as well. So then some people will actually position them in the shape that they are on here. So you could take, if these were all sticky, you could take them and layer them on a solid leaf, and then you would get that texture on there as well. So that's kind of fun to try that as well. All right, so we have all those ready to go. I did a project before Christmas where I used all of those negative spaces. They were on adhesive paper and I used them, and then I applied gilded leafing to them. So if you cut them on this with the sticky side up, you could always use those negative bits and put gilded leafing, and I think the gold leaves would look really nice that way as well. Or you could just cut them with gold foil. Okay, so first of all, I will get these leaves built and then we'll work on the rest. So, or the flowers built, sorry, flowers and leaves. So I'm going to start with crushed curry. If you don't have crushed curry, you could also use Daffodil Delight. I might have even called this Daffodil Delight when I picked it up at the beginning there. So either one is fine. I just went with the crushed curry to give it a little bit more depth behind this layer here. And with this, I wasn't really super concerned about tapping off first because the center of the flower is going to be hidden behind the black center and the espresso center. So I just wanted to make sure that I blend it out far enough. Oopsie, and then I go ahead and dab it off anyway. That's force of habit. Just pick that ink up. I want to blend out far enough from the center that once these layers are on there, that you can still see where I've blended. Again, that's force of habit that I keep tapping that off on the side, and then I just pick that up anyway. I'm also not super worried about the blots being on there because they're going to be covered. And then I just keep taking my flower here and lay that there, match it up. And then just check it to see if the ink is blended out far enough. I want a little bit more ink than that. And if you have a hard time being able to tell with that showing there, you can just put that on top just to give it a gauge. But I want a little bit more ink blended out, so I will just keep going a little bit more. And then I'm just trying to be careful to put the first blot in the middle where it will be hidden before I blend that out a little bit more. Okay, you could also just cut this layer with crushed curry and then put the daffodil layer on top, and that would save you the blending. If you've got any issues with strength in your hands or your shoulders, that sometimes blending is a little bit hard, so that would save you that extra work if you wanted to do that. Cut the solid in crushed curry and the detailed in daffodil, and then you would get a two-toned look that way too. That's probably enough, so I will stop there with that one. So let's put the crushed curry. I think I did call it Daffodil Delight earlier. And then I've got Old Olive for the leaves. So I'm just going to do the same thing with them. Lay out all three of these leaves. You don't have to do one by one. You can just do this sort of as a batch. and get them all ready. Now here I am going to dab off first because the leaf is smaller and I'm not going to have a big center hiding it. It's just the veining there. So I'll just dab off first and then blend over that solid layer. So I'll bring that a little closer. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's got a little bit of differentiation there, and I'll do just a little bit more. This die set is very pretty. I had it long before it was on sale. We used it in our In Color Club last year. So any of you who did In Color Club last year, you may have this. It's not an obligation with In Color Club to purchase the bundle that we use, but a lot of people do so that they can do the projects just as we have. So if you did that club, you might have these. Hey Tiffany, how are you? For those of you who are watching and are regulars, Tiffany and I go a long way back in Stampin' Up, in the Stampin' Up world. We've done incentive trips together, Fiji, and she was there with me at awards when I was on the artisan design team. I miss you too. And she has an amazing store in the US. If Janet, you would love her store. All of you crafty people would love her store. It's a good thing you're not right next door, but I do wish you were. That would be so much fun. Okay, sorry, I got sidetracked there. So now what I need to do is glue these detail layers on top of the solid layers. Again, if I had attached these to adhesive sheets first, it would be super easy to just peel the backing off and then stick it down. So sometimes that saves you a lot of work. But another reason that I sometimes don't do that is I like the little bit of dimension that it gives when they can flap up a little bit. Tiffany, can you, yeah, wouldn't that be nice to go back in time? Can you remind me the name, the yellow, little yellow shop, or what is it? I know there's yellow in there. If you don't mind telling us what your store name is. So I'm just going to put little dots of Tombow on here. I feel the yellow house. So it wasn't the little yellow house, but the yellow house. It's amazing. Janet and anyone else who's interested, check her out on Insta. You're on Instagram, right, Tiffany? I know you're on Facebook. We should do a group order. I've watched her lives before and just wished I could buy all the things when she does her auctions. She's on both Instagram and Facebook. It's like my dream to do that, to have a store like yours. A friend and I talked about doing something like that here at one point. So I'm just putting these dots of glue at the main intersections of the leaf, and then that way it will have enough glue in just the right places to hold that down. Just have to hold it a second on each of them. So again, if you don't like fussing with Tombow, or you want this just quick and easy, adhere that green cardstock or the old olive cardstock to adhesive sheets first and then cut. And that will save you some effort. It will use up your adhesive sheets, but if you guys are like me, you might have a stockpile of them. Tiffany, are you making cards still at all? Or do you have other people that make them and bring them to your store? Okay, remind me what city you're in. We should do a road trip someday when the world is, you know, not in the state that it is right now. All right, and then with this one here, I will do some around the center. That's going to be covered with the early espresso layer. And actually, I'm not going to glue all of the rest because I'm okay with that having some dimension. So you just want to line this up. And then you just have to press this. When I do the espresso layer though, I do need to be careful that I don't have it pop through those little holes, the Tombow. Because sometimes it will come through the little details of your die cuts. Even the stitching, sometimes it will come through there. So if you're using a stitch die, do not go close to where the stitching is. Now with the espresso layer, I'm not worried about popping all those layers out, though a bunch of them will pop out on me while I'm doing this. But what I want to do is just reach in here and cut these little petals off. So if you're wondering, how did they get this center? That die is missing because the first time I used it, I actually thought the detail or the piece that did just this was missing, but it is actually just that you need to fussy cut this off. And you do not need to be perfect about this. It's actually probably easier if you do pop those pieces out. You also don't need to cut the full flower. When I did this the first time, I just put enough cardstock for the center. So I just cut a little square and just placed it behind that center. So you don't actually need to cut the full flower for this. Save some of your cardstock. We probably all have a stockpile that could last us a really long time, don't we? All right, there we go. It would be so fun if we could go back in time to the days of convention, or even if we got to have a real live convention again. I miss that. That was always such a highlight of being a demonstrator. There's many other highlights. The friendships in particular, both with demonstrators and with our customers and the people that we stamp with. So now I want to take this, before I glue it though, I want to just make sure that I know where it's going to line up with this, because this center is going to line up in a particular place as well. The little bit of detail that is right around here matches up with this here. So I'm going to want to place that in there in the right spot. So before I get it all covered in glue, I want to just make sure that I know exactly where I'm going to place this down. At least that's my strategy. And same with this, I want to just make sure, and I go by this, there's this little part that's a little more round. I find it on the yellow one and I find it on the espresso one, and then that way I can just flip this over, get a little bit of glue in between where all those dots are, and then have this ready to go down in that place. And then I'm not guessing where it goes while it's already got glue on it, and then I end up with it all over my fingers or on top of the other detail layer. So now we'll do the same thing with this. Just make sure that I've got it in the right placement. That's going to go like that. So I will just put glue around the border. I don't want to have it popping through those little holes in the center. So that's going to tuck in there. I probably could have put that down first, and actually I can still gently lift the espresso layer. So I am going to put that black layer down first. There we go. Then that way it stays down in place and it looks a little more dimensional. You could also ink the edges of the espresso layer. I know Janet's gonna say that Susie would have. Maybe one day we'll get back to incentive trips too. I miss them as well, but I'm also okay staying home for now. All right, so that's the flower. It's not that much work. And if you were doing a bunch of these, if you wanted to send them out to friends who are Ukrainian or who have family or friends who are, then I know some people have sent them to coworkers. You can just do all of your flowers in batches and then assemble your projects. All right, so that's those ready. And then I have some other elements to get ready before we assemble the card. So I've also used this piece here. This is from the Brights DSP stack. You get 2 sheets of, yeah, she totally would have. She probably would have even sponged the detail layer on top. So this is in the Brights DSP stack. You get 2 sheets of each color in each pattern. So there's this pattern and the back, and then there's another pattern in the Pacific Point and every other color in the collection. So I cut this piece to 1.5 by 4. You don't see a lot of it, but I liked that plaid look there. So I'll attach that to this border and then I'll trim the sides off. So I like to just use tear and tape You guys have been seeing me use a lot of foil this week or this last week, so when I'm taping things down to foil, I like to use the tape. So that's on there. Then I just peel that. I've cut this longer than needed, but you could definitely cut yourself shorter pieces and save some of this. So I'm just going to place this on symmetrically, and then I can trim down the sides. So I'll just use my paper snips for that. There we go. Now this is ready to be glued down to this layer here. So this one is Stitched Greenery Die. I will show you guys this one. It's beautiful. I'll bring it closer so you can see it, because on my end here it looks like maybe you can't see the pattern of it up close, but it is this one here. So it cuts that detail into the paper, but it doesn't cut it out. So it just creates that beautiful stitched look in your cardstock. You could use this as is, or you could also cut pieces out of it then with impressions, like from embossing folders. If you have embossed your paper first, you can't cut next because then it will flatten out your texture. But with this, because it's stitched lines, you could always cut this first and then cut other shapes from it. But it's super pretty. So that one is the Stitched Greenery Die. Unfortunately, it is not on the 20% off, but still very pretty. So now we need to attach this to here. So again, I'll just use tape for that. I apologize, tape is a little bit longer, takes a little bit more time to use, but I know that I need to get this card in the mail right away. So I want to make sure that it's going to be adhered really well. All right. Do any of you guys already own that Stitched Greenery die? The border is from your favorite stamp set or your favorite bundle, Janet, the Tropical Layers. But you could use a scalloped layer too. This one is kind of their pointy edges, or like a pinking edge, but you could always use scalloped if you have a scalloped edge. I'm not going to peel this backing off just yet. I'm actually going to switch this. I'm covering this one back up to give myself that side to hold on to. And then I'll just line this up. I'm just going to use this card as my guide for how high up on my card layer I want to lay this down. There we go. And then I can reach in here again and peel these other backings off. But that just gives me that side to hold on to. Make sure it's all straight and it doesn't stick down before I'm ready. Now I just got to make sure that backing is stuck. There we go. And then at this point, if I had any discrepancy here, which there is a tiny little bit, then that way, because sometimes when you're prepping, your layers end up slightly off from each other. So this way here now, I can just clean this edge up just a little bit, and then now that side is clean. I don't have one piece longer than the other. All right, now before I put any of this on, I want to layer my ribbon on there. So I had it sitting right in front of me. I tucked it right behind my little stand here. So now what I want to do is I'm going to tape some ribbon behind here. And I think I saw a question there. The yellow paper is Daffodil Delight, yes. So I'm going to, it's a fitting color with Tiffany having been here. I'm not sure if she's still here, but it's a fitting color to have used today for more reasons than one. So this here will leave me enough to tie a bow. So I'm going to snip this off so that I have enough here to wrap behind the back, but it will save me taping the whole way or wrapping around the whole way. So I just need to cut this short and then tape that down to the back again. I hope that makes sense. You guys will see in a second what I'm going to do. So here, I'll stretch this across so that it's straight. And then I can tape this here. And then I'll take this opposite end, tack it down there. And then I want to tape each of those back down again from the other side. There's a dual purpose for taping on top of here. If I don't tape over top of this, that tape will be exposed, and I have dimensional this layer. So if the tape is exposed, it will cave that down on the side, and I don't want that. Plus, if I just place the ribbon on top of that, it's more likely to come off if you tie too tightly or if it gets pulled on. So by just taping that over top, it secures that a little bit more, and it will prevent that adhesive from behind there from making this stick down on the sides. So now that that's nicely in place, I can take the rest of this, and before I tie the bow or put anything else on, I'm actually going to dimensional this to my card front. So I want to just make sure my fold is at the top, which it is. I'm sure we have all taped or put a card front on a card upside down though. Have you guys all done that before? I absolutely have. And then I find myself getting my heat gun out and heating it up, because if you heat it, it kind of releases the adhesive a bit. So whenever I put something down wrong, I end up grabbing my heat gun, heating up the glue, and gently lifting things off. All right, so with those in place now, I can just stick this down to my card base. These backings are really stuck today. Sometimes people will use their piercing end of the take your pick tool to lift those backings off. So that's a good strategy for you if you ever have troubles getting those backings off, or again, if you have a hard time with the dexterity to peel them off, you can just kind of poke your piercer tip in there and lift them out. There we go. So now that this card layer is on the card base, I can use the full base as my guide as to where I'm going to place the rest of these pieces. So that's the reason I wanted the card base, or the card layer on the card base, is that I don't put my sunflower over too far or the leaves over too far. I have done that before, so that is something that I've learned from having made that mistake, and then it just saves me having to heat things up and pull them off. All right, so now I will actually, I'm not gluing this, actually I will go ahead and dimensional the sunflower down first, and then I can still tuck those leaves in behind it. And hopefully when this gets to its recipient, it'll bring her a little bit of, I don't know, just knowing that somebody is thinking of her or that people are thinking of them. That is kind of the whole intent behind our card making fundraiser, is that we want people to know that we are thinking of them. All right, so that's gonna go down there. And then now I can just glue these together, or I'll put them in separately actually. Now, do you know what I did? Is I did not make sure that this little dimensional was over enough to tuck the leaves in, so I just moved that over. So now I'll go ahead and I will glue this one in here and these ones up top. And these I'm just gluing straight down. I can actually just stick a little piece of Tombow behind them, or I mean tape. So I'll put that behind there. I love using tear and tape. How about you guys? I purposely put this little part between these petals down here so that this leaf could be placed there. And then now we'll get these ones ready. I think tear and tape is my most used adhesive, I have to say. So those are going to go there. So I just did a little dry fit first. I like the look of this one underneath the other one, so I'll just place that under here. And this way I can make sure it doesn't go past the edge of my card. There we go. And then now I can tuck this one in over top, so it will overlap just a little bit. There. Now, with all this in place, it gives me a little bit of leverage when I'm ready to tie that bow. So that's why I leave this hanging off the side until I'm ready. I can also put my greeting on, and then I can tie that bow in a place where if I tie it right here and then I don't have room to place my greeting, I avoid that by just leaving this till the end, get everything in place, and then I can snip it and tie the bow. So I just have 2 things left to do. I also have, dropping it on the floor, this gold foil embellishment there with those little, I think, is that wheat? Is that what you guys would call that? And first I'll just get my greeting ready. So I've got the Know That You Are Loved, and I have the Versamark and my gold powder handy, and my heat gun. So I apologize, you guys have to listen to the heat gun again. I've been using it a lot lately. And first I want to just embossing buddy this guy. Make sure that you guys can actually see that. All right. So that's Versamark. If you have never used Versamark, it is like a clear ink that has more of a wetness to it so that you can pour the embossing powder over it. So you can't see it on there, but it is there. Once I pour the powder on it, you will be able to see it really well. And I should have grabbed myself, there they are, a pair of tweezers so that I have something to just hold on to that with. So there you go. You can see that the powder's on there. And then I can just use my tweezers as well to heat that up, or to hold it. Do you guys keep, I just need to knock a piece of powder off before I heat it. Do you guys keep all of the powders on hand, or do you buy them as you go and just get the colors that you need for the project? I tend to have them all on hand. Get a little panicked when one starts to run out. So then I just heat that up, and you can see that it will start to look glossy as opposed to powdery. I find that it works best for me to keep my heat gun aimed at a particular part until it's melted, as opposed to just randomly going over. I kind of focus on one area and then just move on to the next as it's melted. And then I just give a pass over at the end to make sure it's all nice and heated, and then I just check to make sure it's all glossy. If a part of it was still powdery, I would want to heat that right now to set it so that it doesn't fall off. So that's ready there, and I don't think I'm going to put this spatter on there. I did on this one, but I think I'm going to leave it on this one here. I want to leave it without that. So that would be your guys' choice. If you were to recreate this card, you can decide if you want to put a little bit of extra ink there. So now I will use my glue dots. I'll just tack this stem down. I'm just putting a glue dot behind where my greeting will go. You don't need to use much adhesive with this because the greeting is going to help hold it in place afterwards. So I'm just going to make sure that everything lines up nicely here. That'll be okay. So now I can just place this here where it will be behind that greeting. There we go. So that will end up like that. So now that this is here, I can get this ready. I do have, I'm going to dimensional it, so I need to put one here, and then I need to double decker here where it will overlap my flower. So just be mindful of that when you're choosing where your dimensionals go. So here I've got one, I peeled the backing, and now I'll double decker this one. And then don't forget to take the backings off. They're super sticky today. I don't know what's up with that. All right. So now this is going to go just right here. And then I can still see a little bit of everything, a little bit of the ribbon, a little bit of the foil. We can still see some of this DSP. And then now here, again, the reason I left this loop is I want to tie the bow right here. So now I can take this and hold it straight above there. I can cut at the end of this loop here, and that will give me equal portions of ribbon to cut or to tie my bow with. There we go. And then I will show you guys my bow tying trick again. So I've got my, we'll start over. Tie your knot, and when you tie your knot, you want the pieces to be nice and flush to each other. You don't want twists in there, so make sure they're flush. And then take a glue dot and place your glue dot underneath where you're going to end up tying your bow. So I just get my bow in place, tuck the glue dot underneath there. You can see here my ribbon is flush to each other. There's no twists in there. And then tack my knot down to the bow, or sorry, my knot down to the glue dot, and that will keep that all in place so that I can nicely tie this bow. And I'm actually going to tie this one sideways instead of up and down. So I'm just turning my card sideways like this, and then that's gonna go there. And actually, I think I need to lift this up and move it a little closer. So I'm just wiggling that off of that glue dot. I tied it a little bit too far over to the right. I want it, so I'm just releasing that knot from the glue dot and moving the glue dot, just pressing it down closer. So I want to tie this nice and snug to my greeting so that it's not got a big gap in between. And then the same thing with when you're tying your bow is you want to make sure that it's flush when you're tying that part of it, so that the bows, the two loops, don't twist on each other. Otherwise you'll get a messy looking bow. So if you want a whoopsie tidy looking bow, just make sure everything is flush as you go. So there's a sideways bow, and I just need to clean up, drop my scissors on the floor. Just need to clean up the tails. It's a little bit of a hot mess here today. Oh, there we go. I know many of you are lucky enough that you got these scissors before they were ever discontinued. There we are. I did not add any embellishments to this card, so I could still if I wanted to, but I left it without. If you were to add embellishments, what would you add? Oh, the ribbon, Janet. I will tell you what that one is. Would you guys leave it without embellishments? And if you were to add some, what would you add? Would you add rhinestones? Would you add the clear dots? These are the clear dots that I put on the shaker, the Seahorse shaker the other day. This was Friday. I almost said yesterday. But those might be something that I would add, but I might even just leave it. So this ribbon is the Bumblebee Gingham ribbon. It's in the annual catalog, and you get 10 yards of it, I believe. 10 yards. So you could probably get close to 20 cards, I would think, out of this ribbon. You probably have enough there for 20. All right, so that is my card for today. I know you guys saw it previously, but I had intended to come back and show you how to make it. And when I needed to get one in the mail as quickly as possible, I figured that this would make a good live for today. And then I can come back tomorrow and feature another bundle that is included in the Spring is in Bloom 20% off sale. I have one in mind, so I will probably come back with that one for tomorrow. And then if you guys have another bundle that's on sale, let me know what you want to see. So I'll show you guys those again real quick. If you're interested in earning my free class for having placed an order, you can use this host code. It is, you'll get a free gift with a $65 purchase, and then you get the free class with a $100 purchase. And you can put whatever you want on there, whether you want to use the 20% off bundles or something else. So these are the bundles that are on sale. There's the All Squared Away bundle on that page. The mini stamp cut and emboss is also on the sale, and I did bring these in here so that we could give a quick test run to make sure that all of these, so that is the biggest die from the sunflower set. So with this one fitting, all of them will fit. So if you had the mini stamp cut and emboss, this sunflower bundle will fit through there. I think actually all of them that are on sale do fit through there. So I think that was their strategy with that. And then there's all of these ones here. So if you guys want to take a look here at these ones, I don't know if you want to take a screenshot, you can make a vote on which ones you would like to see me demonstrate. I will also post them on my page. Hopefully I can get to that today. And just comment on that post when I post it and let me know what bundles you guys think I should showcase. So I've already done Seascape bundle and the Sunflower bundle and the Beauty of Friendship bundle. If you're interested in going back to catch those videos, they are still on my page, so you can always go back and watch them. This was one of the Seascape ones from Friday that was on sale. I love this bundle, and I had so much fun with this shaker card. I don't know, I think we all like a shaker card. I do anyway, so they're lots of fun. And then I'll quickly, they're right here, so I'll show them to you guys. These were the other two cards that I made with that. Well, it's more than just the Seascape bundle. I also used the sea dyes from the January to June catalog, and then I paired it with the Waves of the Ocean DSP and the Waves of the Ocean foil, and then the Rainbow Glimmer paper from the annual catalog and watercolor paper from the annual catalog, and did kind of a grunge seahorse. So if you missed those, you can still go back and rewatch that. All right, so if you guys have any questions, let me know. You can also still, we have a couple days left to get in on the Beyond the Horizon Paper Pumpkin Alternates class. Once they bill on the 8th for this, we can no longer guarantee that we would be able to get the Beyond the Horizon Paper Pumpkin Kit. It has gone up slightly in price since February 28th, so the prices that we have on our new flyer that I will post as a reminder have gone up by $3 just to cover the cost of the kit. But there is the Paper Pumpkin Alternative class. We'll make the 3 different projects that will feature elements of the kit and then additional supplies that Laura and I will provide to you. We have the Waves of the Ocean retreat. It's a virtual retreat. With this one here, it's $125. You get the bundle as well as half packages of the DSP and the bling, and then a 6x6 of each of the foil. And then the 2 classes with Laura and I, access to our Facebook page, the tutorials. You can always come back to the videos. They will not be posted. The videos won't be on my main page. They'll be in that private group. And then we can still take registration for Cards for Ukraine. So as long as the bundles are available, then I would still be able to take registration for this up until Tuesday. Again, it will just be while supplies last though, because we never know what will happen with inventory with those bundles. So if you are interested in it, you can, I'll be placing an order shortly actually to get more of the supplies for this. And if I have them handy, I do not have them handy. So I was going to say I could show you the cards that we're making, but no, I do have them. So these are the cards that we will make. So we'll be making this easel card, 2 of this one, and 2 of this one. And so I will be gathering the supply list for these to send out so that anyone who has registered can check their supply list to see if they have the inks. You do not have to purchase the inks that I have used, but just so that people can check if they have them in case they choose to get those ones or want to substitute them out for something else. So we'll be working on getting that supply list ready. For $80, you can get the Stamp and Die bundle that I used today. My commission from any purchases of those is going towards the donation per registration and the card supplies per registration. Option number 2 is $50. That includes the stamp set. Same thing, if anyone needs that option, the commission helps go towards the donation and card supplies. And then we have 2 more options. Option 3 is $20, which includes the card kit, the $10 donation, and you can join us for the class and you'll have access to the tutorials. Or If you want to just purchase the tutorial, then you can do that for $10 and the donation will go straight to the cause. So that's an option as well. And then you would prep your own kit to make the cards. All right, so that is some of what's upcoming. I will have more to share at another time, but for today, that is the project. I don't think there's any more questions. Thank you guys so much for joining, especially when we had troubles with the Wi-Fi after we got in from sledding. We thought we would be a few minutes late, and then the Wi-Fi would just not cooperate at all once we got in the door. But hopefully you guys forgive me. Sledding was tons of fun, and it was great to get out in the sunshine today. So hopefully you guys still have a chance to do that as well today. Go and take advantage of the temperatures that are not -40. All right. Thanks again, everyone. I will post what time I'll be going live tomorrow, and I may or may not tell you which bundle it'll be. It might be a surprise, and you might guess from the poster that I'll make when I do post it. I try to give you guys little hints of what the bundle will be based on the little poster that I post ahead of time to tell you what time it'll be. You're welcome, Ramona. Thank you for joining, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everyone.